7 of 9 hot wires aboard Cube. Rafi doesn't think Scottish is a real language, and Auntie Ramda can't handle the admonition. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing episode 8 of season 1 for Star Trek Picard called Broken Pieces, directed again by Maya Vervillo. We were told by our live chat watchers and listeners that, because we weren't sure, is it Maja, is it Maha, what is it? They said it was Maya, pronounced Maya Vervillo. So directed by her. How are you?
Okay. That clarifies a lot.
Now that we know. Well, we get corrections every week. They've been getting a little better. One quick shout out to our friend Don Crandall, who mentions that the Medusan navigational techniques are from the original series episode, quote, is there truth? Is there in truth no beauty? Considered one of the only good episodes of season 3, and
what is the Medusa navigational techniques?
It's just something where they can't look at it or they go crazy. So Spock has to wear like a visor. And guest star was Diana Muldaur, who played Dr. Pulaski in season 2 of The Next Generation. Anyway, that's the only big one.
Okay.
How do you feel about it? Did you enjoy the episode, Cirroc Lofton, aka Jake Sisko of Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, I did enjoy the episode. It was entertaining enough. There was a couple of moments where I felt like it was a little slow. Mm-hmm. Those were the long drawn out kind of talking scenes, which there were a lot of in this particular episode. And then it picked up towards the end with the action and kind of got back right where I like it to be.
By the way, just now before we started recording, I asked Cirroc, I said, by the way, did you find it strange that the Captain Rios' captain was actually Mike Pence? I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but Mike Pence. And then Cirroc also said, well, it could be Leslie Nielsen too. So it's also a thing, but that's what jumped out at me.
Yeah, Rios gets a lot of, he does his full showcase in this episode,
man,
right?
So good. So good, right?
Yeah, so he basically has a scene with 5 of him in one scene. And I think one of them is one I think we haven't seen before, was with the tattooed up one. I don't recall seeing the tattooed version of himself.
Was that the Scottish one, the engineer? I don't remember the tattoo.
No, the tattooed one, I think he was he looked like he was Russian or some kind of...
was it the long hair?
The long hair
Okay,
version.
That's the Chilean one. That's the pilot. That's always, he's napping and drunk and all that kind of fun stuff.
No, is that the one? I don't know. He had tattoos everywhere, so I'm not sure. In the accent, I couldn't figure out the accent.
So we've got let's see if we can name the 5. We've got the Chilean navigator, who's very colorful. We've got the Chilean pilot. Then we also have the navigator, who wants to be called Enoch, and I believe he is Irish or Irish accent. Mm-hmm. Then the Scottish one is the engineer. I think he wants to be called Ian. Engineer, and he's the one that just says just nonsense. And even when that's the one where Rafi goes, I don't want to mess the quote up, but basically she says, is that even a language, or that's not a real language?
That's not even a language. Yeah.
What did she say to him? Anyway, so then there's also the hospitality program. And I wanted to ask you, where's that accent from? It seems like it's kind of like the distinguished gentleman, like the Southern gentleman.
The Southern gentleman, that's what I got from it.
Kentucky or something like that. If anybody knows what accent that is, I was thinking maybe like an old Colonel Sanders type of Kentucky or something,
Something like that, yeah. I have to say that's what I thought of too when I heard it.
And I think the last one is the Emergency Medical Holographic Program, and he's Irish, right? Did we get those right?
No, we said Irish. One's Irish. We said Scottish, right?
Yeah, Chilean, Kentuckian. Yeah. What is the doctor? let us know in the comments, guys.
Yeah.
I think we're getting like an 85% on this test so far on this.
Yeah, we got a passing grade, but not an A+ yet. Not an A.
So anyway, that was actually one of the trivioids I wanted at the beginning, was that Santiago Cabrera shows off his acting chops, right? I mean, pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to pull off all those accents. I don't even know how he remembers which one to pull off at which time, but I guess it's according to the outfit for him. Not an easy task. Not exactly my favorite either, though. Seemed like a little bit too many personalities for me. I was comfortable with just like 2 or 3. I think 5 is a little bit pushing it.
Sounds like my ex-girlfriend. I'm just kidding. She only had one personality.
It's only one. But I mean, he really, it's just a difficult thing to do. So I have to just, I don't know of any other performer that has done that in an episode of any television. Pull off that many different kinds of performances and accents. Not an easy thing to do. So he deserves credit for that. And he is technically the captain of our ship, of our show in this series, right? It is about Picard, but he is technically the captain of the ship.
True. He's Captain Rios. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny part about him being the captain was, I like the scene where Picard sits down in the captain's chair, and he's like, "All right, well, I'm going to go here," and he starts moving around all this stuff, and then he realizes, wait a minute, I don't know how to use any of this.
Yeah, no idea. He's just like, what am I? Somebody help me out here.
Actually, I don't know how to use this stuff. And I love that. It made me laugh, and I thought it was clever. He said, actually, I don't know how to work this. That was his line.
I do want to see a scene where, let's say, someone like, Soji or Rafi or, aggressive Aggie are alone on the ship and they have to go save someone. And so she just activates all 5 programs and brings them on the bridge. And so she's got the navigator, the pilot, the engineer, and now she's got like a full crew. Or maybe Soji does it because she mentioned how she's never had a crew. No, that was aggressive Aggie that said she never had a crew before. So I thought that could be something that they might do a little later that might be cool.
They keep hinting at Rios hooking up with Rafi. And in this episode, they even hinted, like, I think they said one of his hologram personalities was telling Rafi, yeah, he really needs a companion, wink, wink, or something like that, right?
Yeah, one that's not a murderer, preferably.
Exactly. But it's like he's basically trying to hook him up. And I'm thinking, this guy is going to basically sleep with every girl on this ship before it's all over, right?
Well, he knows that his pickup line is to just, kick a soccer ball around, and that works every time. You kick a soccer ball around on your ship, and the girls just are like, oh my God, let me lead you to my room. So he keeps trying to play soccer around Rafi, but she's like always doing something else. He's like, hey, I'm playing soccer over here.
Don't come in, I'm playing soccer.
With no shirt on, and I'm sweating a lot right now. You don't want to see this.
Yeah, that's his pickup line. Now, I thought it was funny to see that his hologram was trying to hook him up. He's like, he's really in need of a confidant. And I was thinking, that's a great pickup line,
That's he's got 5 wingmen.
Basically, yeah. I wish I had 5 versions of myself that could help me get
that are all talking you up. That are all be like, oh, yeah. I know a lot, but the guy you really want that knows even more than me, that one right there.
Exactly. So I like that. You can't get better than that.
Now, speaking of that, let's bring up Rafi into the fold here, because Santiago is the obvious answer for who shines as an actor in this episode, because he's showing off his acting chops and he's doing a lot of different things. But what I really liked about Rafi is, traditionally in Star Trek, there is an investigator type, okay? First, it was like Spock. The guy that's, when there's a mystery, and it's like a mystery for kind of like a one-person job, Spock would be the person solving the mystery. In Next Generation, it was Data. In Voyager, it was Tuvok. In Deep Space Nine, of course, it was Odo. it's Rafi in this case. It seems more and more like it's her. Like she can do a mission on her own as a one-person, a one-person job. She can do it. Everybody else kind of needs somebody or is part of the puzzle. But in this episode, she was that Data character. She was that Spock, that problem solver, where she came to an answer all by herself by talking to the holograms and piecing it all together. And I thought that was really cool. I actually really enjoyed that aspect of this story.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but definitely she was the person who kind of started piecing things together. And she does that in other ways too, where she's like, okay, so they did this and there's moon here, and then why is it like that? And she's always kind of taking the elevated view, the step back approach to try to see the forest from the trees, right? So everybody's stuck in their one thing and in their one lane, and she does do a good job of stepping back and say, well, why would they do that if they wanted this? And why is this? And these people, oh, so then maybe it means, and then she does that kind of, like you say, detective work,
Mm-hmm.
She's really good at that. Another thing they show in this is that she's battling addiction and depression.
Right.
And I think this is the first time I can see that it seems every character on this show is battling depression. Picard is battling depression. He's depressed. He's going through that. Soji is confused about who she is, and she's depressed, and she doesn't trust anybody.
Agnes is a giant mess.
Agnes is a mess. She's crying, she's laughing, she's all over the place. Seriously depressed.
Rios has his demons.
Rios is, we met him. He was drowning himself in alcohol and taking a big ass thing out of his shoulder.
Blame it on the alcohol.
Yeah, and then now Rafi as well. She's got the issue with her son,
but not baby Elnor. Sorry, not baby Elrond. It doesn't seem like he has that yet. He's still the fresh. He's the fresh, doe-eyed kid that's just like, what's everybody up to? And they're like, he's like, how's everybody doing today? And they're like, bad. He's like, okay, well, I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah, he's the only one that's not affected by it, but everyone else seems to be battling their inner demons. Right. Even 7 of 9, you can see she's really battling. 7 of 9 is like, I don't know, I shouldn't. If I do this will just happen. You want me to assimilate these people and take away their freedom and their lives, and like everybody's kind of like going through whatever they went through in the past is kind of still, they have this PTSD, right?
Right.
And we're watching them deal with it together, kind of being there for each other to kind of help. You see Picard is kind of the guy who's there for everybody, but he himself is also going through things. So he's trying to be there for Soji and say, hey, Soji, I got your back. Trust me. You can trust me.
Who's not depressed? All the villains.
Yeah.
How weird is that? You're right. It's a total flip-flop. All the villains, they are clear in what they want. They're confident. They're happy. They're motivated. They're like, this is what I want. I want to kill these people. Screw these guys. And they're just like,
they're exact about their agenda. They're all on the same page. We need to do this. Everybody, okay, clear. They don't have any regrets, or they harbor feelings of sadness and emotion. They're like really agenda driven.
They're sharks, man.
Yeah.
They don't feel bad that they just ate somebody for lunch. They're ready to eat again.
Yeah. When what was his name? What do you call him?
Norrick, aka Nerold.
Yeah, Nerold.
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 I'm the British Romulan Nerold.
So when Nerold was killing, remember when he was trying to kill Soji in that room with the toxic gas or whatever?
Yeah.
He didn't have any remorse about. I mean, it was like a half a second of like, that sucks that I have to do this, but
he's trying to remember if she still had the ring he gave her. He's like, oh wait,
I can't open the door now.
Too late.
Speaking of which, we never talked about it, but I always thought to myself, and I know it's nitpicking, but this is what we do as viewers. When she broke through the floor and went to the level below, I'm thinking, Yeah, there's radioactive gases that are leaking through the ceiling now. You guys should be in a rush to get out of that other room that she just came into. Right.
I was also thinking when I saw that scene, and we're going back a couple episodes, but I was thinking the same thing. Similarly, in that scene, I was like, wait, this is a Borg cube made of metal and everything, but this one part is made out of wood. Like, what if she just busted through it and then an inch deeper, it's just a layer of metal, and she's like, oh, whoops. Okay, well.
Yeah, and a 6-inch concrete
I tried.
slab.
Yeah.
I tried. So no, and then I thought, well, when she did finally break through and got to the next level, like, hello, is anybody not worried about this radioactive gas coming through me?
At that point, it's behind them. They don't care anymore. They're like, that's so 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
There were some. Now, the episode starts off, and it had all of these visions. I don't know if you noticed, but on that planet Aya, the Grief world 14 years ago, and there are those Jat Vash priestesses or whatever doing their weird stuff. There was Rizzo there was Commodore O, and there was also Ramda, the lady that was doing the triangular tarot cards.
Right.
Gone crazy, right?
Right.
Auntie Ramda. And some of those visions, we see a quick shot of Data. We see a quick shot of like a cybernetic being that looked a lot like Arium from Discovery. I don't know if that's connected in some way, but it looked very similar. Rizzo's the only one that can handle it. I thought it would have been cool if, now remember, these are Romulans, looking at us from afar. When she said, how do we stop them? Where do we start? And O says, we start on the planet they call Mars. That would have been cooler if she just said, we start on Sol 4. Because that's what we say. We say the star and then how many planets away, so we say like Andoria 3, for example, if it's the third one from the Andorian star. So it'd be cool if they said Sol 4, because I thought that would have been fun, but oh well.
Yeah, instead they went straight for the Mars plug.
Yeah, the plug.
Shout out to Mars.
Yeah.
But I kind of get that. We got to see some of the one that disturbs me the most. I don't know why, but you mentioned the dream sequences where they kind of like show the flashback. These flashing sequences of what's going to happen. Yeah, that's the one. How did you know?
Because that's pretty disturbing.
It's pretty disturbing when you see it, right?
Yeah, scraping out her green blood.
Yeah, that image, every time they bring that up, it's just like you can't get it out of your head, and it just hits like a disturbing button where she's peeling off her face and kind of like, and I mean, in that opening scene, I mean, first of all, we learned that one that was in captivity is her aunt, right?
That's right.
And there was no mention of that before. Which I thought would have been you would have thought that they would visit her while she was, if that was really their aunt, that they'd visit her while she was being locked up in the crazy house. Right?
Speaking of the aunt, did you catch what they said, how that entire gigantic, enormous Borg cube was defeated? It was defeated because it tried to assimilate a Tal Shiar ship that had Ramda on it, and Ramda's despair short-circuited the Borg cube and everybody on it. That's what she said.
That's what they said?
That's what she said. I don't remember the exact wording, but she said basically that they picked the wrong Tal Shiar ship to try and assimilate, and the ship was taken down by her despair. So they try to assimilate her, and she's just like nuts from the visions that it short-circuited the entire Borg collective, and the million Borg on it and the giant cube and everything.
Yeah, that's kind of
so
the whole collective.
Well, at least that entire collective on that cube. Those cubes are miles big.
Yeah, it's basically like a Christmas tree light. One Christmas light goes out and the whole strand doesn't work.
Right. Well, that's right. Or in this case, if one Christmas tree is so full of despair, it just defeats the Borg. Who knew? You could defeat the Borg by showing them a couple seconds of, really unsettling footage.
Well, then you would think that Picard would have had enough despair to upset it because he wasn't happy about being assimilated, right?
Right. And since we're going to be nitpicking here, I do have another. I feel like most of the nitpicking stuff happened at the end. Like the first 30 or 40 minutes, it was nothing for me, really. But when 7 of 9, I understand what they were doing. They're trying to give people, a lot of fan service there when she assimilates herself into the Borg cube and then assimilates all of the drones that are left. And then she de-assimilates herself, as if that was something that has ever been done before or could ever have been done before. Suddenly, Borg have a choice whether they want to be assimilated or not. So every other person that's ever been assimilated, they could have just de-assimilated themselves and walked away, but they didn't. And so I just thought that was...
I understand your hesitation there. The only thing I would say in defense of that is that I don't think we've seen anybody that was formerly assimilated get back assimilated again. And so I don't know if that has any bearing on your ability to control it.
Right.
Right.
That's true. And there's also the possibility that, she programmed something in to allow herself to come. I don't know. But it was... it was kind of one of those things where they're just like, don't worry about the details. Just enjoy that we're giving you some fan service. I mean, she could have just said, hey, once I do this thing, Hugh, can you push this red button and de-assimilate me? And that would have worked because then it's something that's releasing her or rejecting her or whatever. Or maybe it was just all of her despair.
Yeah, the only thing good that came out of that was the line that Elrond gave, which was like, are you going to assimilate me now? I like that one for some reason. To me, that's the best line he's delivered throughout the show so far for him.
Old L. Hubbard.
Yeah, Elrond. I like that. Are you going to assimilate me now? Like the way he was genuinely looking at her like, okay.
So moving forward, we got a couple minutes before we want to take our quick break. But as you know, one of my pet peeves is when somebody just kind of shows up unannounced into a secret hideout.
Yeah.
And this happens when baby Elrond's about to get captured. And then suddenly 7 of 9 shows up. She doesn't have a crew, no posse, no nothing. Somehow she just beams onto the ship. I guess the Borg cube has no sensors, no defenses, no nothing. Even though when Picard's ship arrived, it was really hard to get in. They had to, pull some tricks. But 7 of 9 just hops in and saves the day. That's just a tiny little thing where I'm like, come on, let's... I guess we're just not thinking about it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like she knew exactly where they were, exact right moment. She just pops in and saves the day. And those kinds of things are a little unrealistic. But, I understand that they have to keep the story moving along. And they're trying to fit a lot of stuff into such a small space.
Right, exactly.
Have we seen a Borg cube get reactivated? Is this the first time that's happened?
To my knowledge, I don't remember a Borg cube being deactivated and then reactivated. It's possible it has happened. I'm not thinking, and I'm just not remembering it. Let us know in the comments below if something like that has happened. Maybe in Voyager, if a cube was deactivated and then reactivated. I can't think of one off the top of my head, though, no.
Did they kill the Neural sister? Because it looked like they did.
What it looked like, it looked like they had her.
They had her like she was like
a bunch of zombies, basically.
Yeah.
And then she got transported out onto a Tal Shiar ship, and they all flew.
I missed the transport out. I thought she was done. I was like, oh, that's it. Finally, she got what she deserved.
Oh, well, she's gonna be there till the end.
Oh, I was like, oh, she's done. She got piled on by a bunch of Borg ants. The way they piled up on her, I was like, there's no way she's escaping that. But I guess she did escape.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe she flew the coop with the rest of the Tal Shiar. They abandoned ship. They all just transported onto their ships and cut out. And now there's a Borg cube being controlled by 7 of 9 and Elrond. It's gonna be pretty cool when Picard's crew is in dire straits and then suddenly some Borg cube comes to save them. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I was thinking that. I mean, that's that's where they're going, it looks like. Because the Tal Shiar clearly, excuse me, are formidable.
They are, and they have all the connections. They're super sneaky. Yeah, they're ready to, and they're the ones with the plan. They're the ones that are like 5 steps ahead of everybody else. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with our second segment on the 7th rule. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 7th rule with Cirroc Lofton. We are reviewing episode 8 of The Next Generation. Just kidding. Star Trek Picard, which is, by the way, the first 8 episodes of Star Trek Picard are way better than the first 8 episodes of Next Generation, or really any Star Trek series, I think.
Yeah, I have to say that it's been very interesting, and they've really built up a nice little chemistry between these guys, which, is to their credit. The writers and the actors are doing a great job.
Mm-hmm. So the trivioids that didn't make the cut, just a couple that we did. Baby Eleanor tells Seven to assimilate the XBs. That one's not very interesting. Data had, quote, a child's wisdom. I thought that was really
nice. Yeah, I like that. And
Rafi talks with all 5 holograms. We know that. Santiago Cabrera shows off his acting chops. We covered that. So
there was a line where Picard is talking about Data, and he says, he made us all laugh, except when he was trying to make us all laugh. Right. I love that line because that's Data basically summed up, right?
Plus, we all know somebody like that, right? Where they're always making us laugh, but then when they make a joke, you're like,
"What's wrong with you, man? That's not." but they make you laugh, except when they're trying to make you laugh.
Yeah,
it's actually that was my whole relationship with Aaron Eisenberg.
Right?
He always made me laugh, except when he was trying to make me laugh. Then I would look at him like, "Not this time, buddy. Not this time." And the other thing I really liked was Picard when he said Data's wisdom was limited, and then he goes on to say we had that in common.
Very good.
And it was like a self-deprecating thing. It was like Picard is basically coming down on his own, like sometimes his hubris is out of it's too much, and I like the way he took a shot at himself.
Also, he's showing both of their humanity, because Data was always striving to be more human, and the more imperfect he is, the more human he is in a way. And Picard's, talking about his own humanity as well. In that same scene, there was a line that I really liked, was when Soji Berry says, "Did you love him?" And Picard stops and thinks for a second, and he says, "In my way, yes." Not a yes, but because he knows. He always kept people kind of at a distance, whether it was Beverly or whether it was Will, or Data. But I thought that was a really good line and well delivered.
Yeah. You know what else was funny? It was like Rafi says, unless you believe in conspiracy theories. And she brought up the word conspiracy theories. And I like that she's into conspiracy theories and all of this stuff. She's like totally into that.
Now that character's got a ton of depth. I really am impressed with how what's her name, Michelle Hurd, is portraying that character. I've been saying that for a few episodes now. The first 2 or 3 episodes I wasn't sure, but she has such genuineness in the way that she portrays the character. She's very real about it and very open with her emotions and her delivery, and I think it's just great.
One thing we haven't talked too much about is the curse words, and I meant to bring this up since we've been reviewing this show, but we haven't really gotten fully into it. But there seems to be a flippant use of curse words, profanity, which you've never seen in Star Trek.
Very little in Star Trek.
Very little, right? But it seems like every episode we get one word. And this episode was the Picard going at his commanding officer, where he was saying, "Yeah, if you don't do it, then you're just a waste of space." And her response was like, "Shut the fuck."
Right. Well, and also, what's her name? Aggressive Aggie also said something like it was fucking something, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I would actually, and I think this may be an unpopular notion, I would take it one step further and say, I don't think it's flippant. I think it's even more than that. I think it's deliberately trying to add it, like making a concerted effort to say, hey, this isn't your father's Star Trek. We cuss and we do all this stuff, and we're going to see where we can squeeze it in. And I think this was the first episode in which it felt forced and it didn't feel natural. I cuss as much as the next person, but it feels forced sometimes. Like when Agnes said it in her line, I don't remember exactly what it was, but she said fucking something.
Yeah.
It felt like the natural line that would have come out of that character would have been that exact line without the fucking.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They seem like it's a little gratuitous. They're just throwing it in there. And for example, when we were doing the show, we were so pressured into being perfect as far as what was written in the script. It couldn't stray off the dialogue. You couldn't add an and and a the or a but or, you definitely couldn't put any words there that sounded like words that were of the day, right? Of this time, like cool, rad, fresh, what's happening?
I got you. Like
I got you.
What Rafi says to Agnes, I got you, girl. I'm like, that guy, I got your hookup. This slang lasts 400 years.
Exactly. So they were really adamant about staying away from those kind of words, right? Because it's just, they're dated,
right?
People don't say fresh, 500 years from now. They might see something else. But it's like, or the meaning might change. They might say fresh, but fresh might mean not fresh.
It actually reminds me of that time in the second season of Next Generation where Riker says, "Should we fire on him, Captain?" And Picard goes, "That would be totally radical, Will."
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you threw me there. Okay,
no, you're absolutely right that Star Trek has never dated themselves with topical.
They do their best to stay away from that, and they have been successful. Now it seems like they're because when I left doing DS9, I went to go work in Toronto on a Showtime show called The Hoop Life. It's a basketball show, but it was for Showtime. And the cool thing about working on Showtime was the exact same thing that they're highlighting now, which is we had carte blanche to have nudity, to have profanity. You could do whatever you wanted. So, it's cable. And I was excited about that, right? I said, oh, wow, I don't have to be dead letter perfect. I can ad lib, I can freestyle sometimes if I'm, trying to find the line. I can just throw out different things. And it gives an actor a whole lot more leverage and room to work with when you know that you're not inside of this restricted area of like the dead letter perfect, right? So I was excited about it. But even in that way, I didn't want to just throw in a bunch of F-bombs because I could, right? I still want to be able to talk and it be sensical and it doesn't sound a certain way. I feel like then this was probably the first time that it really stood out. I think the first time I heard it was when he first came to Starfleet and said, "I need a ship, and if you want to take away my captain status, that's fine," or whatever he said to the,
right.
And she cursed him out in that moment, right?
Right.
That was the first time it stuck, and actually I liked it.
Yeah.
Then
the fans loved it. That is the most quoted scene. It's kind of like, if you've ever, and forgive me, but if you've ever, like 6-year-old kids, when they hear daddy say something for the first time, daddy says like, "Oh, that butthole." And then he doesn't know the kid's right there. He's like, "What's a butthole?" He's like, it's something. And then the kid goes and tells all, "You're a butthole." Yeah. No, you're a butthole. You're a butthole that smells like a butthole. Dude, I'm telling you, everybody's going nuts. Everybody wants to say sheer fucking hubris, because that's the line.
Yeah.
You just know that everybody's going to quote her again saying, "At long last, shut the fuck up." I'm like, guys, have you never heard a bad word before?
Yeah. And like I said, the first time I liked it because the sheer fucking hubris was just like, it was money. It's on the money. It was like, finally somebody put this dude in his place. He's fucking riding his high horse, walking around talking about, I'll accept you to demote me if you want.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll accept that. Like, okay, who are you? So that was deserving, and I understand why the fans like it and why, the internet blew up over it. But then, like, don't just throw it in every time you have, it doesn't need to be there. Not when it doesn't need to be there. You know what I mean? So I just thought we would talk about it. I felt like, oh wow, they finally have the carte blanche to just throw in this kind of language on a Star Trek show, and they're exercising there at least one or two every episode, right? They're right in that check.
But I did feel like this episode was the first one where it was misplaced, especially like with both of them, because Admiral Clancy, because as far as I know, she's had like 2 or 3 scenes, and that's basically that's her gimmick. You know what I mean? She's catchphrase. She's Admiral Catchphrase at this point. That's what she is. Been reduced to Catchphrase Lady. Right. Then we have Agnes, and I should have written down the line, but she said this line. I'm telling you, it would have been better without the word, and you could put it somewhere else. Like when Borg are coming at you, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" or "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Yeah.
In a normal place, In
a normal place, exactly, and that's my little nitpick of it. I know it's not much, but it's only 2 words in the whole show, but it stands out.
Now, shifting gears, do you remember when they were talking about Captain Mike Pence over here, Vandamir?
Yeah, Vandamir.
Vandamir, yeah. Before he was the captain to Rios, he was the first officer to another captain. And that captain, Marta, I forgot her last name off the top of my head, but that captain was, when Picard said she was a classmate of mine at the academy, it was actually his best friend in the Next Generation's episode Tapestry. I think it was 7th season. One of my favorite episodes of Next Generation. Really, really good. Great theme, great moral. And it's so cool to have her, I think he called her Marty instead of Marta, to have him
reference her.
Yeah, it's like a nice little Easter egg for us fans to be like, oh, holy shit, we know now that she was the captain for Vandamir, and then Vandamir was the captain for Rios, and it just kind of goes down the line like that.
Yeah, and I like the Rios goodie briefcase that he had, the Starfleet issued travel bag, and he flips it over, and he's got a cigar box in there with his things. He's got a crystal, and he's got a bunch of stuff in there, and it just kind of reminded me. One, it reminds me of just military in general, because most people in the military, they keep their little stash of personal things that remind them of home, right? That was kind of a cool little touch. Then also the cigar box thing, because I actually keep some treasure goodies that I've kept over the years. I keep them in cigar boxes. So watching him open up a cigar box is kind of a little treasure for me that I enjoyed.
That was a personal Easter egg just for you, Cirroc.
Just for me, yeah. and I liked it. I thought it was really good. The other thing I thought was pretty cool was they were playing that music on the record player, and we got to see a record player. So it's funny because record players are making a comeback, right? They were huge at one point, and then tapes and CDs came out, and nobody cared about them, and then computers and digital files, MP3s. Exactly. So, and now it's like, now record players are coming back in like full force, and you can see, like, even in this episode, they subtly played it. They inserted that futuristic looking record player. I think it was playing Ella Fitzgerald, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that.
And I thought Rafi said something about a Walkman, and I was like, did I hear that right?
I heard that too.
Is that a Walkman? I'm like, is she talking about an actual Walkman?
That's what I thought too. I heard the Walkman.
They must have done that then, yeah.
she also had a great line where she said "pissing off" because he tells her to piss off, and she's like "pissing off," and I like that.
That was good. That was perfect. Yeah,
it's a good line.
Okay. Pissing off.
Another thing, they mentioned these constellation of the 3 beauty marks on Soji's face. And that was funny because they just put the constellation and the beauty marks on her face. It just reminded me of the pyramids that Giza lined up.
Interesting.
As the Orion's Belt constellation.
Exactly right. They for those of you that don't know, you can look that up. The 3 pyramids of Giza are aligned exactly like the three stars that make up Orion's Belt in the constellation of Orion. Check that out. It's really cool. It's perfectly accurate. I do want to talk a little bit about that conversation that Aggressive Aggie and Soji Berry had together. But before that, I do want to also say in that box that you were mentioning, that cigar box, there was one other thing that was really cool to me personally, was he had a bunch of pips, that show your rank. Now, I always thought that when an officer got an additional rank added, let's say they had 2 pips, they were given a third one and they just added on. But looking at the number of pips he had in that box, it was like 7 or 8. That tells you that every time somebody gets promoted, they don't just get an added pip, they get 2 new pips or 3 new pips or 4 new pips, and then you put your old ones away. Not really anything, important.
No, but it's a little bit of insight on just how the functionality of it works, right?
Exactly. It was just an interesting thing where I was like, oh, I assumed wrong there. But the thing with Soji and Agnes is that there was this weird dichotomy going on in Agnes's, scientific brain, which was the more she marveled at what a perfect robot, for lack of a better word, what a perfect technological creation, fake synthetic creation Soji was, the more she realized that, the more simultaneously she started thinking of her as a real person. So it was a really interesting dichotomy.
You drink when you're thirsty?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. You eat when you're hungry?
Oh my God, me too.
Me too. So yeah, I thought you'd bring it up by now. I'm surprised I'm gonna have to bring this up, but
oh good, I can't wait.
And it wasn't even in one of your opening little teasers.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Deep Space 12.
Oh, that was cool. Yes.
Shout out to the deep spacers out there.
You're right. I should have thought about that. I mean, because to us, we've heard like Deep Space 5 or 3. We've heard of Deep Space 7. We've heard Deep Space 12. And every time they say that, it gives us a tiny little smile. We're like, another deep space.
Yeah. It just brought back memories. I was like, oh, Deep Space? No. But I know some people on 12.
Those guys, you always beat them in the softball game, right?
Yeah, those DS-12s, man. They try to play baseball with us. They're no good. But no, I thought that was pretty cool. The Deep Space 12 mention. It was just like a nice little.
Well, Riker last episode did something similar to that. He did a deep dish 12-inch pizza.
God, that was a setup. The setup of that, the way you really brought it back and went serious. I actually like that one. That one I'll give you credit.
Deep dish 12-inch pizza. I'll take it.
That's the only one you're gonna get to. So just enjoy it. There was a line in this where I thought it's dead on, but Picard says, "Fear is the great destroyer," right? And he goes on basically telling us that about fear, and it only brings up to me, since we're in this pandemic right now at this particular moment in time, how fear is reigning the day
Now,
And
Cirroc, for those of you that don't know, it's raining in LA right now. So Cirroc's getting double points for this right now. That was kind of like, that was an undone wink to me when he says raining the day. I'm like, okay, because it's pouring rain right now in LA.
Exactly. But that's what I see. It's like we're in a climate of fear, as a matter of fact, in this exact moment in time in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody is a little bit precautionary about what's going on and what steps they need to take to keep themselves healthy and safe. And it's, I mean, I've never seen this kind of response to something in my lifetime. I don't know about you, but they're closing.
No, I've had the same lifetime you have, basically.
Okay, so you've seen the same things in this world.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
I haven't seen them close countries and shut down, and basketball games and all that kind of stuff. That's like never been done before, as far as I know.
Yeah. Cirroc and I are like, oh, closing countries, okay, and then they're like, basketball season ends. We're like, what the fuck? This is real
we gotta
now.
play with our basketball. This is getting too real.
Have you guys heard that there's something real going on all of a sudden? But no, I mean,
basketball made it real.
Mm-hmm. Also, we've got about less than 10 minutes left. I do want to bring up, and I don't know exactly how to say this the right way, but when Rios was going back and talking about the two synthetics that he met, and one of them was named Beautiful Flower. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, I wrote something down. I couldn't.
The names were, the lady was named Jana, and the man was named Beautiful Flower. And my first thought, honestly, I think most people's first thought may have been to go, to the transgender route or something like that. My first thought was that this was like a 1971 hippie, like this guy was Simon and Garfunkel all day. He's like, no, man, I want to be called Beautiful Flower because you know what? Flowers are beautiful, man. And or like he's trying to shock people. Like they go, hey, what's your name? My name's Beautiful Flower. Does that surprise you? Does that shock you? Does that inspire you? I'm Beautiful Flower. Do you like it? I can name you. You're French Toad. I don't know. I want to meet Beautiful Flower.
And the other one was Jana. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Jana. I think it was Jana.
Yeah, those were the first contact emissaries, right? Is that what they said? Yeah. That was another kind of thing. They were talking about the admonition and all this stuff, but they said first contact with emissaries, and then they mentioned the two emissaries, right?
Right. You know what? Since it was first contact, maybe it was kind of like F8. Remember in the very first episode when there was the F8 android?
Right.
He's just totally susceptible. They're like, hey, how was your day? Was it cool? Did you sleep well or whatever? He goes,
yeah.
Hell yeah. Right. What if when they're meeting them, they're like, oh, yeah, no. Oh, you're going to go meet more humans and stuff? You should get a name. You should go by like Beautiful Flower or something. He's like, oh, okay, Beautiful Flower. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's going to do it. Yeah. Beautiful Flower. That's a very, noble kind of name with a rich history.
Yeah. What's brown and sticky?
Beautiful Flower? What is brown and sticky?
A stick.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was
one of the episodes. You brought up F8, so I thought of that. Mr. F8.
Hell yeah.
So I don't get it. Who is Ibn Majid and Dr. Vandamir? What are they?
Ibn Majid is the ship that Captain Vandamir served on with Rios as his first officer. Like the Enterprise or the Defiant, it was called that. That was just the name of the ship as far as I know. It was the name of the ship. Vandamir was the captain. Rios was his first officer. And so Rios heard a lot about Marta because his captain was her first officer initially. I thought that was really cool, the way they showed kind of like the history and the lineage of that ship and the people on it and what happened with Vandamir, why he shot himself, why he killed himself, why that sent Rios off the deep end in his own way. There was a lot of good lore, a lot of good, mythology of that ship, in those two scenes.
Is that a ship that had been talked about before, the Ibn Majid, or is that just something brought up right now?
I didn't recognize it, no.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments below, as I'm sure you guys will, if you've heard it before. But as far as I know, I've never heard it before, I don't think.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, when they had that scene where they were all getting the vision, and a couple of them just like committed suicide right on the spot, right?
But were they killing themselves, or was Rizzo just imagining that she was seeing that?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I looked to see if there was evidence one way or the other when it would show their bodies laying there. I wanted to see, was there a rock next to one of their heads, or like a gun that would confirm whether those things actually happened, or whether Rizzo just imagined it. But I couldn't find any confirmation one way or the other.
Yeah, it felt like it was real to me. Except there was a couple of things timeline-wise I couldn't really get. I didn't understand at what point after being de-assimilated would the aunt be a part of that. So, like, at what point would she have left the cube to go and have that little ceremony?
Well, no, that ceremony was 14 years ago. There was like a little thing at the bottom that showed the ceremony. So that happened 14 years ago. That was what made Ramda go crazy in the first place. And that was,
so she hadn't been no encounter with the Borg at that point yet.
Correct. So that vision 14 years ago made her go crazy. And then since she was so crazy, when the Borg came and tried to inhabit or assimilate their ship, her craziness, her despair short-circuited them. And now this is where we are. So that was all 14 years ago.
Interesting. The other thing was, they said something to the effect that Zhat Vash is trying to stop the second coming. And just hearing the word the second coming made me think of biblical stories, mythology, and how they talk about the second coming of Christ. And it made me think of the Messiah. One is the Messiah, one is the destroyer. But essentially, the Messiah is here to destroy the world. So they're making a similar kind of a comparison when they talk about what Soji's role is in this whole thing.
And supposedly Soji Berry is the destroyer. They all agree that she's the destroyer. So that's what we're going to find out. Is she a destroyer? Because a lot of times it's just the interpretation of, well, sure, she's the destroyer, but maybe what she's going to destroy needs to be destroyed. Maybe she's not some evil thing that's going to kill Picard and everybody. Maybe she's going to destroy whatever is this evil force that created this, 8-sun constellation thing. What do they call it?
Yeah, it's the octenary star system.
Exactly, yeah.
But
a lot of people think that might be Q, by the way. Everybody keeps popping up thinking about Q. Maybe they were thinking the captain that was talking to Kestra last week, maybe the Q, Captain Crandall. And some people are thinking, hey, maybe it's Q that created this star system so long ago, 30,000 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, they didn't get into who it was that did that, but they said they did it for the reason of warning people about the threshold of our artificial intelligence. Is that am I getting it right?
Yeah, exactly.
That eventually the artificial intelligence would reach a point at which it becomes destructive. Is that what we're getting to?
Yeah, it's basically whoever it was saw into the future and knows that artificial intelligence is going to become really bad and destructive. And so they wanted to warn them by bringing 8 stars together and saying, okay, hey, I brought 8 stars together. How much more clear can I be? Can't you read the tea leaves? I brought 8 stars together.
Clearly, obviously, that means artificial intelligence is the problem.
In 30,000 years from now.
Yeah, that's a hard stretch to figure that one out. Good luck with that.
I think they'll explain it. We'll get some kind of clarity in the next couple episodes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, they're going to have to explain it. That's the job of the Tal Shiar, right? Is to kind of give us a little bit of insight into why they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
I like it. I'm on board. I don't know what's happening with Agnes because they act like Dr. Aggie is going to turn herself in at the next depot, and at least that's what they left it in this episode.
Right.
Picard's like, "You're going to turn yourself in," and I'm thinking, "Wow, okay."
When you do your Picard episode or your Picard impression, sorry, it makes me think of Sean Connery when he played Indiana Jones's father in Indiana Jones, the third one or whatever it was,
Oh yeah.
So keep it up because that's a good memory.
I like that when he had his umbrella and he made all the birds go up into the planes.
Yeah. So you know what Sean Connery said when the book fell on his head, right? I blame myself. Sorry about that. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, wow. On that note, that's it. That's it. Broken pieces. We just broke it into pieces. Holy shit.
Whoops-a-daisy. So we are out of time, though, actually, unless you've got a final note to hit.
Not really. I just want to, let's see where they're going to take us. We got the possibility of the Borg going ham. We've got a lot of things going on. I'm excited to see where they're going to go now. Yeah. They've kind of, we're going to wrap up into this first season, right? I think we got 10 episodes for this first season.
So we have 2 left. We're going to find out everything now.
Well, at least where they want us to go, further on down the road. So I think they've done a good job of setting us all up to find out, what's going to happen next. I'm on board.
Awesome. I agree. I'm excited to find out what happens next, and I'm happy because I know that they will explain it to us.
They will. Yeah.
So we do want to give out a special shout out and a thank you to our associate producers, Commander Homer Frizzell, Dennis Koch, Rex A. Wood, Eve England, Kat R. King, Yvette Blackmon, Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, and Beautiful Flower. Thank you all to them for being awesome. And for Aaron Eisenberg, the coolest fellow ever in the history of fellows, for Russ Hasledge and Cirroc Lofton. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and always remember the 7th rule.